Hey folks, before we move on to one of the final stages, which is eliminating the render blocking CSS, which is probably the most detailed part of the operation, uh, let's take a look at the minifying of the JavaScript and the CSS and even the HTML. We'll start off with the CSS here. What it's telling us is these CSS files could be minimized. Now this is definitely one of those things that has to be left to very last, and it actually makes it darn near impossible to edit the CSS file once you've done this. So this is why it's one of those things you'll never see done in a pre-built website, before the content is added, because there is going to be some point in time during the build process where you want to change the color of a link or the size of a header or a background color, and all that is done through CSS, and it certainly needs to be, the style sheet certainly needs to be presentable and readable so you can go and do that. We're going to take that nice presentable readable CSS sheet and scrunch it all together, and we're going to minify it. Okay, so what we're going to do is just fire up Google and go and type in minify CSS. You can use any one of the minifiers that are online. There's so many of them. We'll just go to the first one that comes up. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to open up a style sheet. We're going to copy the CSS in here, press the minify button, go over, hit the select all or copy everything, and paste it back in. I'll show you in both web editors here how to do this. And we can start off by going into the site styles folder. Most of the style sheets will be in here. So we'll start with these style sheets right here. So we'll just start with the styles. Basically we'll do a Control A and we'll copy everything. Or actually I'm going to cut it. I'm going to go back to my browser. I'm going to paste it into the window, hit minify, and then it's already selected for me. I'm just going to copy, go back to my editor, paste, and you see what a lovely scrunched up mess this is? You go in there and try and make edits. I'd love to see how to figure out how that one works. But that's it. That is minifying a style sheet, right? And you're just going to continue on and cut and go back to the browser. And what we're going to do is hit the clear button, paste it back in, minify, go over here, select all, and copy, and go just back and forth, minifying all your style sheets right here. And of course, if you're working with a Microsoft editor, same thing. Go find your CSS files, and typically most of them will be stored in the styles folder. Open each one up, grab it, minify it, copy and paste it back and forth. Like I said, once you've done that, it's going to be very difficult to edit. So you may need to make a copy of your website, or you can actually go into your style sheet. I just want to show you an example of something you can do here, at least with Microsoft, is you can go into a style sheet. You can take your CSS and you can pop it in here, minify it, okay, and paste it in here. And let's say you have to go back in and make changes down the road. Most likely you will. All right, what you can do is just right click in here and hit reformat CSS, and it puts it pretty much back to the way it was. Then you can make your changes and go back and forth. All right, with Dreamweaver you can do much the same. You can sort of just grab the CSS or highlight it all, do a Control A, go to commands, apply source formatting, and that'll put things sort of back in a legible order for you there as well. Then you can just go back and forth. And that's how you scrunch up, that's how you minify your CSS. JS or JavaScript, very similar. With Dreamweaver it's a little bit different to find them. It's actually a little bit easier to find them because you can go to your assets, and then you can go and organize your assets by scripts, and then you can just go through each script, opening up the first one that comes into view. You can do a Control A and cut, and we'll just go back to our web browser right here, and in this case we're going to minify JS, just like that. And there's many JS minifiers online. Basically pop it in, hit compress, and then you can just do a Control A and copy, and back to your page, and presto, there it is like that. And if you need to put it back to the way it was, then you can just do a Control A once again, Command. Oh, this one doesn't have the source formatting. You probably have to do it online with a reformat JS, which you can do as well. You can just do a Google search on that one, and all right, and that would be reformat JS, and you'll have a couple of different options come on. Online JavaScript beautifier, that's a tool I've used that before. I think you just pop your JS in here, hit the beautify JavaScript or HTML, it'll create a nice organized file where you can copy it back in. Most likely with JavaScript you're not going to need to edit that. Once it's minified, it's fine. We don't minify a lot of the JS files in the template, and we modify, or we do minify some. The reason there are some are not minified is because they may be files that you would actually have to update, or they may be for newer components. So there may be a file that you'd want to change a timing of, or a color, or some sort of an attribute for a slider or a component, and the variable or the attribute is right in that file, and you may need access to it, and you may need to read that code. The other thing is, with newer components, we don't always minify it because there may be updates that are required to it. Right? Once it's been established and we know we won't be updating it anymore, we'll typically go and minify it at that point in time, because if it's something new, we may have to knock out some of the updates and changes that come with new components. So that is minifying your scripts and minifying your style sheets, and that's what you need to do. And then you post your site back up to your server, and that will get you around some of those suggested fixes.